Yeah, I think a lot of women wait too late. I think a lot of women get in these situations, they get pregnant and they like really, I think why a lot of breakups happens is that they really put a lot of emphasis on marriage because they know like I need to be married. I need to be married. We need to get married. So the pressure is on and then they realize that man is not nowhere near ready to marry or get married. His whole plan just changed up. Oh, I thought you said we were going to get married last year. And then now it's like, oh, I said 5 years from now. Like, it's like the goalpost is just moving, moving, moving. So that is correct. It's like men will switch up on you. And that's why it is important to have marriage as a requirement. But I
But
think
you
a
know
lot of
what?
women, mhm.
A lot of times, I don't even think these conversations are taking place when they should be taking place. I think that there's an assumption that you guys are moving in the same direction and nobody's willing to have the talk and you're just not speaking up.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets lost. So you think he's moving towards the same thing you're moving towards, and it ends up he's just going along for the ride.
I disagree. I disagree. I think that women are having those conversations, whether it's uncomfortable or not. I think because women are not taught the
But
game.
when? But when are
But
they having
no,
conversations?
because I think, especially with this younger generation, they are way more upfront than the way that we grew up, right? But I think women are having these conversations, but I think because women were never taught the game the way that they should have been, that you can't tell when that man's being inconsistent. You can't tell when this man is giving you a valid reason
His behavior.
versus an excuse to push the goalpost. Like women's ability to discern because they don't have the game. I need to get my money up. I need to be in a position where I can give you the wedding that you're looking for. I need to buy the home that we're going to live in. I don't know how many women have heard these excuses and then turn around and that man in 6 months into his next relationship is already has those things in line. Women don't know how to discern what is real and what is game coming from men because they were never taught.
Well,
Quick,
I think that's why men had to vet out the men that would approach the suitors that would approach their daughter. I definitely wish that my dad chose the men that I needed to date. I wish, like, if I can go back, I'm like, dang, like I choose whoever because I'm not a good decision maker, and I'll stand on that. I don't think, and it shows. A lot of women are not good decision makers when it comes down to love, and the stats show it's a lot of women that.
I have a question. If you have a standard, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mobilet.
Time though, do you really think that like you would be okay in this day and age, in this modern world of social media? You think at that age you would have been okay with your father choosing your partner? I mean, if you were raised up in a household where that was the standard that was set, then probably, right? But we know that as teenagers, we're little shits. We rebel against what's right. You
Yeah.
know, so like that was like my first question. And the other thing I wanted to say, I'm sorry, to Inas's comment about teaching young girls the game. So I was thinking, like, when you first said it, I was like, that's right. But I don't feel like even that's the answer, right? Because I feel like young men being taught the game is problematic. I feel like the game that they're taught is problematic to us in general. Like, unless I feel like what's necessary is for us to be taught our value, like as women, to be taught what we need to be held responsible for, what we need to hold ourselves responsible for, how to, like, you can't trust them with your heart, don't trust them with your womb. Like, if you're not planning to have, or you can't see a future or a baby with this man, don't have sex with him.
Well, at that age, you can see yourself like anybody that you like that you swear you're going to marry at that certain age. But what I was going to say is, pose the question of, do you really need to know the game if you have standards? So if you have specific standards, it doesn't matter what game anybody's coming with, girl or guy. If my standard is, I'll date, but after a year of dating, then we need to move forward with engagement, in marriage or what have you. So if I have that standard set, it doesn't matter what he's saying, right? At this point, I'm only looking at what he's doing. And if what he's doing is in alignment with what my standard is, we move forward. But once I hit that year mark and I'm like, oh, we're not seeing an engagement, we're not, then it's time for me to skedaddle. In that time period, I'm making sure I'm on my birth control. I'm taking all of the precautionary measures to ensure that during this time I don't end up pregnant. And I think that's what we need to be teaching is the standards. And not to say you don't give them the game. I'm not saying that you just dismiss that. But
The
I think
minute,
the
the minute
priority
you
is
see
the
a game being played, run. You can't
but
win this
so
game. You can't.
here's my thing with that, right?
Okay.
Is
Can I
like
speak after her?
yeah, absolutely. So here's my thing with that is that it's not either or. You can't just be taught the game and not be taught standards, and you can't just be taught standards without being taught the game. But the thing that I'm seeing is that women now have standards, right? Like we talk about the 666 online all the time, right? You got to be 6 feet, you got to be making six figures, he's got to have this kind of character, you got to be.
and ain't no marriage in that.
No, but I get it, right? But here's the thing is having the standard, here's where it becomes problematic and not knowing the game. Having marriage as the standard, and not to say that marriage should not be a standard. Having marriage as the sole standard without understanding the game. Marriage doesn't actually mean anything if there's no real commitment behind signing that contract, right? You are just marrying somebody who's still running game. And so if you don't have the two things in tandem, the divorce rates don't go down. The marriage rates go up, but the divorce rates stay the same. Like you can't just be marrying anybody to be marrying anybody. You have to know the game. You have to understand how to read this person, how to know their character. But
now I need to know.
Right,
I need to know.
the game. Yeah, absolutely. It's faking the funk, pretending to be somebody you are not. And even when that is crumbling, still finding ways to manipulate, gaslight, push the goalpost in order to maintain this relationship until you decide it doesn't work for you anymore. That is the game.
There is no way women are falling for this for real.
But a lot of women, a lot of women are also faking it. Can we talk about how many women are actually faking their femininity?
Absolutely.
Faking that they're a wife.
That's why you run from the game. The game suits
Right,
no
Chanel.
one. No
It
woman,
doesn't.
no man. What Miss Taken said was right on the nose. You have your standards. If he keeps falling below that, you leave. No,
I disagree with that. No, the one thing
Be
that
realistic here, though. Let's be realistic. How many men, like, if a guy, if his only
real quick, shame on Nay. You were supposed to go after.
Yeah,